paper, read all about it.
The Daily Colonist, August 4th, 1914.
Britain and Germany at war.
Oh, no. Europe was a community of related royal families. Well, the English had its king, George, whose cousin was the Russian Tsar, Nicky, and their cousin was the German Kaiser, Willie. The Austro-Hungarian Empire had its emperor, and there was royalty everywhere, and almost everyone was related to Queen Victoria.
June 28, 1914. Archduke Ferdinand, heir to the Austrian Empire, assassinated in Sarajevo by Serbian nationalist Gavrilo Princip.
But the royalty are all related and visit each other throughout the year.
Austria-Hungary blames Serbia for assassination, issues ultimatum, invades Serbia July 28, 1914.
But they all have treaties and agreements.
But they all have disagreements.
But every family does. They will work out this little squabble.
August 3rd, 1914, Russia and France defend Serbia. Germany invades France through neutral Belgium.
European politics. It won't bother us over here in BC, will it? Well, surely we won't see any changes around here, will we? I'm sure the diplomats can work it out. They always do, don't they?
August 4th, 1914, Great Britain declares war on Germany.
And England went to war? The British Empire went to war?
Canada at war.
And even remote BC went to war.
And the call went out for men. Come on, Canada, it's time for you to do your part.
And 24 days later, the first men set off from Victoria, the 50th Highlander, and the 88th Fusiliers. They leave today, August 28th. Today? So soon?
500 Victoria volunteers leave this morning, August 28th. The 50th Highlanders will parade at the Willows Camp at 0845, and the 88th Fusiliers will fall into line at 0800 at the Esquimalt Dockyard.
The two forces will meet on Belleville Street. They'll be back by Christmas! Though England's foes may assail her, though the war clouds hang around, still the bright sun smiles o'er Britain's isles for friends in need she's found. From India's strand to Baffin's land, they have answered the Empire's call. For we can't turn our back on the old Union Jack, the best old flag of all. Then give 3 cheers, 3 British cheers, for the old red, white, and blue. Let the world all know that Britain's foe is Canada's foe too. Across the sea in Germany, our boys they will prove their worth. For the maple leaf, our emblem dear, and the best old flag on earth. From letters received by Colonel and Mrs. McIlwry, from their son Sergeant Raymond McIlwry, who left Victoria on that day in August 1914 with the 88th Fusiliers.
This morning, we are billeted in a most luxurious barn, which is heaven after our most recent experiences. We left camp late on the 9th and reached our port of embarkation the next morning. There we boarded a steamer well known in Victoria, where we took up quarters in palatial cattle and pig pens, which were so arranged that you could not lie down without getting 57 kinks in your anatomy. We reached our destination on the 14th. There we pussyfooted through town before boarding a train composed of boxcars 10 by 32. We had 37 men with all of their equipment and ours, so you can imagine the jam. The first night was glorious. All you could see was huge piles of feet. The next night was better because we all lay on each side of the car with our feet facing inwards, each man on his right side. The feet of the man opposite came between you and the next man, so we kept each other warm. On the command, turn over, given by the foreman, Bill Casey, we turned, and many of us had the first decent night we've had for weeks. Well, dear mother, at last we are in the promised land, and the sound of the guns.
March 6, 1915. Another letter from Sergeant Raymond McIlry. Dearest Mother, you'll be pleased to hear that after about a week spent in billets, we were inspected by General French and the Prince of Wales.
We then marched for 6 hours into Belgium and into the trench with some of the regulars. And, dear Mother, the trench that I was in was only 75 yards from the Germans. We learned the art of keeping your head down because the snipers never let up and constantly pound the top of the parapet, throwing mud all over you.
Poor Herbie Boggs was killed just behind us. Oh, Raymond!
And Bevan, one of my old section, was out filling sandbags behind the trench. I just came up from the trench in time to see him get shot through the head. Bevan!
It was his own fault. He wasn't careful enough.
A letter to Frederick Tregellis in Barkerville, BC, from Joseph Callanan, in the trenches somewhere in Flanders.
Dear Fred, I received your most welcome letter this morning and was glad to hear from old Barkerville again. I used to think it was an awful place, but I've since found that there are worse. We've just been through about as hot a time in the last month as I ever hope to see again. How in the name of all that is plain and holy I ever got out alive, I do not know, but they always say a fool for luck, so I guess that must be me. I've now left the 29th and I'm in what is termed out here a suicide gang. We have to crawl out and fix the telephone wires that run from headquarters out to the trenches, out to the big guns, out to the observation posts, up to 10 different lines. Always seem to have a break in them somewhere or another. Well, I guess it is a little more dangerous, but it is full of excitement all of the time, and you do get value for your money, I can assure you of that. I have not had the pleasure of coming across any of the caribou fighting men so far, but I suppose if I am spared, I will bump up against them eventually. They are certainly coming to a very, very fine place indeed, and they will be given a right royal reception when they arrive. By the way, Fred, you mentioned that Louis and Mrs. S were going great guns. Well, good on them. As that is one thing we don't get a lot about here, as the authorities are pretty strict about women. But when there's a will, there is a way, and leave it to me to find that way. There are a lot of beautiful women in this country, I must say. And our main interest when out on leave are women, French beer. By the way, you might mention to Mrs. S that I still love her in the same way. And if I should make it back alive, I would not mind getting legally tangled with the old Jane. Well, so long for now. Best regards to Mrs. and children. Yours as before, Joseph.
A letter sent by Private Joseph Callanan, somewhere in Flanders. Killed June 6, 1916, age 26. Take me back, take me back, take me back to dear old Canada, where the wild Canadian rose and the four-leaf clover grows. Take me back, take me back, take me back, take me back, where the crimson creeper climbs and the morning glories twine round the vine. Take me back to Canada. A letter from Arthur H. Fitzgerald, British Field Force, France, to Deborah Florence Glassford, Vancouver, BC. Dearest Dodie, we've been at the front for some weeks past now and are having a real good time. We went right up the first week, and my word, it is great sport. I'm writing this in the trenches, And at the present moment, the Huns are giving us a taste of their big guns to keep us warm. I have been lucky so far, but have had one or two close shaves from the artillery shells.
One smashed my rifle just by my face. My cap was shot through. My water bottle turned another, and I got a little crack in the wrist from a bit of shrapnel, which did not do much damage. It is not the effect of the shell, but the noise that gets on one's nerve. And that noise continues day and night. Of course, you see some fearful sights, but that soon wears off. I have had men shot through on both sides of me by rifle fire, and I don't object to that, but when they get hit by shell, you get splattered all over by bits of human bodies. But you cannot knock the good spirits out of our bunch. They just don't give a damn. And God help the man who can but will not come out. When the war is over, he will be nothing but a yellow dog. I believe my mother would have never spoken to me again if I had not come.
And the call went out for men. And everywhere and all around, recruitment was the word of the day. To sign up, to do your bit for king and country. From posters on the street, here's your chance, it's men we want. To music hall treats, send more men, won't you answer the call?
An ad in the Daily Colonist read, the Royal Victoria Theatre presents on November 12th, 13th, and 14th, 1914, the musical review,
Marching Orders, or Shoulder to Shoulder. The Army and the Navy need attention. The outlook isn't healthy, you'll admit. But I've got a perfect dream of a new recruiting scheme, which I really think is absolutely it. And now if only other girls would do as I do, I believe that we could manage it alone. For I turn all suitors from me, but the sailor and the Tommy, I've an army and a navy of my own. On Sunday, I walk out with a sailor. On Monday, I'm taken by a tar. On Tuesday, I'm out with a baby Boy Scout. On Wednesday, a hussar. On Thursday, I gang out with a Scotty. On Friday, the captain of the crew. But on Saturday, I'm willing if you'll only take the shilling to make a man of any one of you.
I don't know if you've heard, my dearest Dodie. My sister just lost her man after his winning the DSO. And she just had a son on the 17th of this month. And I have lost 7 cousins in France and the Dardanelles. So, like a dear, please forgive me, and write and give me all of the news. Well, so long for the present old thing, and take care of yourself. Arthur H. Fitzgerald, British Field Force, France, November 24th, 1915.
On Sunday, I walk out with a bosun. On Monday, a rifleman in green. On Tuesday, I choose a sub in the blues. On Wednesday, a marine. On Thursday, a terrier from Tooting. On Friday, a midshipman or two. But on Saturday, I'm willing if you'll only take the shilling to make a man of any one of you.
April 21st, 1915. All sorts of interesting things have happened since I last wrote. We boarded motor buses, which took us for 2 hours, and then we hoofed it for several hours, passing through a very famous town, and then onwards through several ruined villages until finally we came to a very flat, sandy plain where we got gloriously lost and sat down until a Frenchman found us. He steered us over all sorts of obstacles, shell holes polka-dotting the whole place, some so big that a Frenchie was drowned in one.
So we're off to sunny France to make the Germans dance their goose steps on their way to old Berlin. Johnny Canuck's the boy, you'll hear our shouts of joy when we go
some shells started coming our way. One lit outside my bivvy and woke me up. Bill Casey was lying outside, and one came through the parapet and burst near him. Then another one burst about 15 feet away, so we decided to move down the trench. The shells started coming in bunches. It could move about 6 feet, when another one would come, and down you would go, stick your nose in the mud. Creswell was in a little bivouac, and 5 men in a big one about 5 feet away. Suddenly a shell came through the parapet, and the shrapnel burst all of the ammunition to one side. About 75 rounds. Creswell's blanket and overcoat were torn to pieces. His bayonet bent, his water bottle smashed, the bottom knocked out of his mess tin, and the heel taken off of his boot. And all it managed to do was wound him in the stern and knock the rest of us down. When we got up to help him, another one came through the parapet and winged Bill in the thigh. And the shells came again in bunches, getting a few of us. Then more Germans appeared over the hill. We were prepared to hold on forever when the order to retire was given, as our flanks returned. I sent half my platoon out along the hedges to cover the retreat of the company, and I never saw them again. The Germans were coming by the thousands, so we worked our way down, leaving one trench, running out across the open to another one in the rear. It sure was a merry little hell. Nobody was the least bit frightened. In fact, we rather enjoyed it at first, but people kept dying in such messy ways that it becomes a nightmare. We were being mown down by shrapnel, machine guns, rifle fire. It's funny how calm you get. A man falls in front of you and you just heave him out of the way like he was a sack of flour. We gathered together to make a stand, but luckily we didn't have to, as reinforcements were coming up from the rear. So we worked our way back from the line to a barn, and we went to sleep.
They're jolly and brave, but never do rave about their pride and bravery. Right at the front they stay, through thickest of the fray. They'll win the fight, their hearts are right. You bet they're filled with pluck. Right on their track when they come back, we'll cheer our Johnny Canuck.
We slept for an hour when we were routed out again and sent into a trench, ankle deep in water where the rest of the Canadians were. Dawn was breaking, and 2 men appeared over the hill. It was too dark to see what they were, but we shouted for them to come in. Hey, over here! They started to edge away, so we plugged them. And the shells started up again. Machine guns and rifle fire. And we cuddled up in our buckets. Our own artillery sent a few into us just to add to the festivities, getting 3 or 4. My platoon went in 50 strong, and we now muster only 1 officer of the 88th Fusiliers is unwounded.
Only one? Only one.
Only 1 officer of the old 88th that marched down Government Street is unwounded. Well, I must close. And my idea of heaven now is the little old Cowichan River, whether the fish are biting or not. Or my own particular armchair and a magazine. Love to all, and do not get downhearted. Sergeant Raymond McKilry, 88th Fusiliers, April 21st, 1915.
From a collection called The Ones Who Have to Pay, an anonymous poem, A Soldier in the Trenches.
Oh, it is really very easy.
If you only know the way.
Not the slightest bit of danger,
And we do it every day.
There were 7 in my party, and the moon
moon was shining bright.
As we crawled out on our stomachs into no man's land that night. I could hear the bullets whistle and the big shells bursting near.
Boom, boom, boom. Then the sergeant crawling forward
Kicked me right behind the ear.
Next
to
a shell
thing
dropped
close
close
beside
beside
me. Lucky thing, it was a dud.
But it left me lying, gasping, with my throat choked up with mud. Then a star shell floated upwards, making it as bright as day.
With the whole bunch lying on me, covered in the mud, I lay.
Once again, we started forward.
Crawling on our hands and knees.
But they kept the star shells going, and we
Had to lie and freeze.
Out and in we crawled and wriggled.
Crossing trenches, holes, and wire.
But they must have heard us coming,
For their guns began to fire.
There we lay,
And calmly waited.
Till they emptied all their guns. Then went back and took them with us. That's the way we capture Huns. So you see, it's very easy.
if you only know the way.
Not the slightest bit of danger.
And we do it every day.
A letter once again from Sergeant Raymond McKilry to his family in Victoria, November 19th, 1915. All kinds of exciting things had happened since my last letter, and a little stunt was a great success.
The idea was to get the artillery to cut the German wire at a certain spot. Then, at night, I would take a few of my bombers over, take a piece of the trench, hold it for about 20 minutes, get some prisoners, and beat it back to our side.
It is really very easy if you only know the way.
Our scouts went out and cut a line all the way up to the German wire. Then, I went out with a bombing party led by a scout, followed by Costigan and party, then another officer with 6 riflemen, stretcher bearers, and signalers.
Not the slightest bit of danger.
And we do it every day.
We crawled all the way out to the German wire, and nothing happened, so we worked our way up the German parapet where we waited. Costigan caught up, and the scouts fell back, so now Costigan and I were in front with the rest of our bunch strung out behind us in single file.
The moon was shining bright.
I wormed up the German parapet, but Costigan got caught in some wire. I found myself gazing at a German sentry about 6 feet off, so I let loose with my revolver, producing howls of agony. At this time, Costigan was free, so we hurled a couple of percussion bombs and we charged in blindly. I tore off to the right, and he to the left. Bayoneting, shooting, bombing, even cracking their heads open with grenades held in their hands. I tore around a traverse and came upon a German standing on a firing platform. We gazed at one another, and I jumped up, and I grabbed the German around the neck, clasping him lovingly to my bosom. He was scared stiff, but he hung on like a leech.
Not the slightest bit of danger, and we do it every day.
Another German came up to see what was going on, so I took my friend's rifle, and I walloped the other German with the butt. Well, I got my first friend started along the line towards our bunch, but he didn't move fast enough for one of my thugs, so he cracked the German open with a shovel. We pressed on and came upon 2 dugouts full of Germans who started coming up, cried, "Pardon," with a French accent. Well, I got them started along the trench, and my barroom bouncers did the rest. Altogether, it was a most extraordinary affair. We got 12 prisoners, and we must have killed about 50.
We do it every day.
Ivan Kinloch is a bomber, and one of my bayonet men. Bill Casey is back, and he was in charge of the machine guns. Sergeant Meyerstein is a wonder at scouting. He could steal the laces from Fritz's boots without him even noticing it. I got a scratch on my thumb, and the doc sent me out to have about a gallon of anti-tetanus shot into me, so I will appear on the casualty list as wounded. I told Mrs. Gerard to warn you. Well, there's nothing else to gas about, and it is tea time. Much love, your loving son Raymond, 88th Fusiliers.
The sun had sunk in the west, the birds had gone to rest,
Letter from Arthur Douglas Crease to his brother Lindley, 1916. Dear Lindley, I am writing this to you from a frontline trench, which we have just taken from the Germans, after a pretty wild time.
The men interest themselves keenly in souvenirs they find in the trenches. Officers' belongings are, of course, the most highly prized. Their helmets are much sought after. One found today had the Iron Cross fashioned on the front of it. These fellows appear to be Prussians, big, husky fellows. But only their officers are good fighters. We certainly are getting all of the experiences there are. And very few of them are pleasant. It is a rather exciting moment when on a dark night you can feel rather than see that Fritz is going to attack. We beat one off last night with great ease. In fact, it was a half-hearted affair. I cannot stand the smell of most trenches. This one is all right, and although there are plenty of dead bodies, none of them are old. It's a most extraordinary thing, but just at this moment there is neither a bullet nor a shell coming over my trench, although just a few moments ago I was nearly put out of commission by a large shell which burst quite near. The concussion gives one a very peculiar feeling, and if it is repeated 2 or 3 times is bound to have some effect, whether one can disguise it or not. Here come the shells again.
Love to all, your affectionate brother, Arthur. Second Battle of Ypres, April 22nd to 24th, 1915. 6,035 casualties in 48 hours. Over 2,000 died. April 22nd, Germans used chlorine gas. Canadians soaked cloths with urine, covered their faces, and attacked. July 1st, 1916, the Battle of the Somme. In under an hour, 733 of 800 Newfoundlanders are either killed or wounded. Overall, there are more than 24,000 Canadian casualties, but those wearing the maple leaf gained a reputation.
The Canadians played a part of such distinction that thenceforward they were marked out as shock troops and were chosen to head the assault in one great battle after another. Whenever the Germans found the Canadian Corps coming into line, they prepared for the worst. British Prime Minister Lloyd George. But this is 1916, and Canada's greatest battles are yet to be fought. And the call went out.
Though England's foes may assail her, though the war clouds hang around, still the bright sun smiles o'er Britain's isles, for friends in need she's found.
Are you the guy that walks in the street with a crease down your pants, so trim and so neat?
Are you that guy?
You smile at every girl you meet.
Are you that guy? Are you? From India's strand to Baffin's land, they have answered the Empire's call. For we can't turn our back on the old Union Jack, the best old flag of all.
Are you the guy that stands on the curb and waits as the beat of the drum is heard?
Are you that guy?
You say, what a fine lot of fellows, my word.
Are you that guy?
Are you?
When England said men were wanted far across the sea to go, from east and west they came our best to lay the tyrant low.
Are you the guy that's seen at the dance, dressed in civvies, won't take a chance?
Are you that guy?
Prove you're a man as the others have done.
Are you that guy?
Get into khaki and shoulder a gun.
Are you that guy?
Are you?
So here's good luck to
guy that goes to the wharf to wave farewell to a bunch that is off?
Are you that guy?
You've got a good job, it's easy and soft.
Are you that guy?
And you only have time for tennis and golf.
Are you that guy? Are you?
Are you the guy that I've spoken about that walks in the streets?
That stands on the curb? That's seen at the dance
That goes to the wharf?
Are you? Are you?
Are you? Are you the guy that I've spoken about? Then don't let it be anymore.
Join up with the colors and sir, our king then cheers for you as well will ring,
and you'll be a piker no more.
Then give 3 cheers, 3 British cheers for the old red, white and blue. Let the world all know that Britain's foe is Canada's foe too. Across the sea in Germany, our boys, they will prove their worth. For the maple leaf, our emblem dear, and the best old flag on earth.
In 1914, the call went out for men.
In 1915, the call went out for more men.
1916, and the call went out.
I